Sean, do you know how much of life is spent worrying about tomorrow? Too damn much. Sean, the last day of your life can be the best day of your life because you're going to live with a freedom most men never know. You are going to experience life without having to worry about the STDs of life.
You know, that actually makes sense.
Yeah. So are you ready to make the day a non-stop going away party?
What the hell? Let's do it.
Heh, Shani! Hey there, I'm here today with Michael Henry, the director of the film Grimm. Michael, glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and congratulations, you just graduated from the University of Richmond.
I did, thank you very much.
And you were a sociology major there,
Yes.
right? Yeah. I took a couple of sociology classes when I was in college, and I think the thing I liked most about them was they, I got to watch TV in both of those classes for my assignments. I wrote papers on TV, which I think is interesting because for you, sociology brought you into film, right?
A little bit, kind of. I mean, sociology has kind of influenced my thinking process, so it's part of what has shaped me as a storyteller a bit.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. And so you recently did this film, Grimm, which I'm a big fan of. I'm a little bit biased, of course.
Good work, Johnny. Looks like you have a little time to kill. I can't wait to introduce myself and make a new friend.
Uh-huh. You were saying? I remember reading the script for it, and it just... I thought it was so funny, and I was wondering, if you could talk a little bit about how you got the idea for it.
Yeah, well, it's kind of one of those random ideas that popped into my head when I was driving. My mind was wandering, as it often does, and I came to this old cartoon called The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. It was on Cartoon Network, probably a longer time ago than I think it feels, because everything feels more recent than it is when thinking back to my childhood. But it was centered on these two kids, and they kind of win this game against the Grim Reaper, and because of that, he is now their friend/slave forever, and he has to hang out with them.
Friend/slave,
Yeah. It's a
scary combination.
Casual arrangement there. And I was never a huge fan of it, but it kind of stayed in my mind, and just the concept of it, I was thinking about this one day, and I felt that it was so odd/interesting and clever to have a figure so dark and morbid like the Grim Reaper and put it in this comedy for children. So just that idea, I was like, I never really gave this show that much credit. This is very interesting. So I started thinking, what would an adaptation of this be like in a film, or maybe just the concept of the Grim Reaper in a comedy for a feature-length film. So I started to go from there, and it started really evolving a lot. Like the idea of a Grim Reaper who was very incompetent and not very good at his job seemed very entertaining to me. And from there it was like, okay, well, if it is his job, then are there more of them? And I figured that would be an interesting direction to take it. I was like, okay, well, this takes it even farther away from the normal kind of mythological figure, if it's just a job that a lot of people do.
Listen, Mandy, any dead idiot can be a Reaper because we all had one.
So it went from there, and the mistake, I figured, would kind of be the central joke of the film, and that I thought could either be him mistaking who the person was, but I felt that there was a lot that you could do if he comes at the wrong time.
All of this is right. You were supposed to die at 11:39 p.m.
What did you just say?
That's the biggest mistake you can make, and I think a lot of shows, even All That back with Good Burger, kind of deal with the employees that you kind of encounter in your daily life, and they make your life kind of difficult.
I've boycotted going to a specific Wendy's in Richmond because it takes forever to get my cheeseburger, so I go somewhere else.
Yeah. So I think everyone kind of deals with that kind of thing. the person who's just not very good, not putting in the effort. And if you take that and you put it into something as big as the person who's supposed to come for you when you die, I just felt like, that's kind of funny. So
Yeah.
I just went with that, and I was like, this could be a fun idea to play around with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think what I enjoyed most, particularly in the script, was just the dialogue.
Okay, so you tell me to go live it up and have fun, but you don't do it yourself? All this carpe diem stuff is just bullshit.
Okay, first, not once did I say carpe diem. Pretentious assholes say carpe diem. Oh, yeah, we should talk about, by the way, the plot of the film, in addition to it being about a Reaper. He does show up 12 hours early, so he mistakes the PM for an AM.
Yes.
And then he convinces this guy, Sean, that he's supposed to be reaping to... Gosh, I'm terrible with words today. But he convinces him, yeah, you've got 12 hours left to live. You're going to die no matter what. You should just live it up. I play the Reaper, by the way, which is why
That's a very nice job.
Yeah. Oh, why thank you. Why thank you. But I loved getting to say the thing where he's like, yeah, you can go out and get herpes if you wanted to, and you don't have to worry about the consequences because you're gonna die. If anybody else were to go out and get herpes, it'd be like, shit, man, I got herpes. But for you don't have to worry about that because you're never gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah. I think the idea came to me first, like the concept of, life without consequences. And I had the character, this person who was kind of a slacker, has kind of a bad attitude about life and everything. So the kind of lesson and themes combined with the character just came to the herpes line. And I think a lot of people remember that one because it's like, okay. Because it's so far away from who I am as a person, the way I normally talk about things. It's like Michael wrote this?
Well, and I thought what I found neat about that was the film isn't filled with talk like that. You think, if somebody's going to go to that, I guess you can call it an extreme. Not too much of one, really. But you would think, anytime you hear the F word in a movie, if it's rated R, there's a good chance you're going to hear it like 30 more times in the next 20 minutes. And then, from then on, they keep using it over and over and over again. So, or, you get the PG-13 where it's just like once. But I thought it was neat that it doesn't rely... Your film does not rely so much on the profane. It just comes up every so often. It's just like, this is life, which is, I thought pretty cool.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is on the last day of my life I should go out and contract a sexually transmitted disease?
I'm not saying you go looking for that, but I'm saying you don't have to be afraid. Tell me more about, where did you get the ideas for this dialogue?
There were a lot of movies and TV shows that kind of influenced my comedy. I think there are a lot of broad, different takes on comedy. Like we were talking about The Office earlier.
Yeah,
big
The
fan of
Office.
that. And then there are just the more kind of in-your-face comedies, like The Hangover and stuff like that. And the ones that I gravitated towards with this, since I had the character who was kind of a slacker, I gravitated towards Superbad, Knocked Up, and Kevin Smith, Clerks. That was very influential as well. So these kind of movies that are about these people who you would kind of classify as losers.
Jack,
What?
you were sleeping.
And you woke me up.
Kevin Smith has talked a lot about these people who are kind of the losers and how he doesn't see them as that because, that's the person that he was. Those are the people that he knew growing up. And, yeah.
And, we need somebody to tell those stories as well as, the stories about, superheroes or, the stories about, famous figures in history like Lincoln. who I know is very popular these days. So it's neat. It's also a little bit terrifying because sometimes I look at their lives. Like I'm a big fan of the show Community. If you've ever watched that.
I have watched a few episodes.
And sometimes I'm like, wow, it seems like it's so much fun to go to community college. Maybe I should change my career trajectory. Thankfully I didn't.
So you're cool with this? No regrets?
They're little things, but nothing major. I had some good times, and I think I've been a decent person.
It's good to see you so at peace with this.
We're going to move on to some other topics about film, but I want to let everyone here know who's watching. Michael Henry is the director of Grimm, and you can watch it in the links that we will post, probably right here, and in the black screen that will follow this and fade out.